Hey there folks, and welcome to the next GT7 Engineswaps of update 1.67. In this Engineswaps, I have 5 new cars to show that you get Engineswaps from. Starting with the first one that comes from is an Integra Type R DC2 1995, and ours is a V18 motor. Which the car is the Fiat Panda 30CL 1985. Gets the Integra motor. So we are doing it at the European Sunday Cup 500 at Eiger Nordland. So the Fiat Panda 1985 with the Integra motor is not that great because it suffers one fatal flaw because being an eco box and stuff. Just can't handle all that high horsepower, and the Tegra really jumps it to high ends, considering it's a Honda motor, which I will say, when it comes to Honda motors, when it comes to Engineswaps, they're usually not that very good for the most part, because the biggest flaw when it comes to slapping a Honda motor in an FF is usually oversteering torque. In other words, you cannot pretty much do high horsepower with this. If you do, it's just going to burn those front tires at the end of the day. So the best I could say is slap it at 186 miles per hour and leave it there because it's pretty bad for the most part. Because I'll just say this, you slap on sports tires while having this kind of setup, it kind of burns the tires a little bit for as much as you do at the end of the day. But with the Integra motor though, it's still not so bad. It does push the Fiat Panda to an upper league at least, because normally it hits like 130 miles per hour to 155, I believe. So 186 is a bit higher than normal for the Fiat Panda, so that's what the Integra motor allows at least. So I guess if you want a Fiat Panda to hit a bit higher than it should, here you go basically. Just the trade-off though is the acceleration stutter for Big Sure. It overdraws like big time, so. And that's just something that can't technically be fixed unless you lower the horsepower, so you're just stuck with what you got at the end of the day. But yeah, otherwise just showing a small showcase of the Fiat Panda. Otherwise it's not a bad car overall. I think the fuel consumption's not so bad and whatnot. It basically hits right at that sports section, so if you want a sports eco box at the end of the day, then the Fiat Panda 30CL with the Integra motor is the perfect solution to that. Yeah, I just decided to just take it to the European Cup, or one of the European Cups at the end of the day, because I'm not going to do a big showcase for this, because it really doesn't kind of worth it at the end of the day. It's just a eco box. It's something to do later in terms of tryouts and stuff. It's not like I'm doing the regular one right now. Basically, that's the thing goes. But basically got some European contenders from the Polo GTI, the Aber 500, the Megane RS, and then the real competition is the M3s. As you can see, the M3s just storming up there, second, third. I say storming up there, I say competitors loosely if I did slapped on racing hard tires. So, otherwise the Fiat Panda 30CL with the 186 miles per hour, it's a pretty good suggestion, I would say. Any higher would be kind of bad. So around that 246 horsepower, I would say. And the other thing you probably notice there is that my gears ain't like sudden on the switches, because I also slap a manual, because I will say I lowered the acceleration as much as I could on top of it. So itself, put a high RPM turbo and a manual transmission, and you'll get this kind of result here, which is not so bad at the end of it. It is lesser acceleration than normal, but if you want it as a sports hatchback, here you go at the end of it. So yeah, now on to the next one, which yeah, the next one kind of suffers the same case, however there's a specialty to the next one and such. Which that next one is an Engineswap that comes from the Volkswagen GTI VGT Grade 3 race car. Which that car is the Peugeot 205 GTI. I can have the GTI VGT regular race motor. So yeah, we're doing World Touring Car 600 at the Nürburgring Nordschleife of 2 laps. Which I say 2 laps, we'll see how they cut them. So, just showcasing once it beats the opponent at the end of or once it passes the opponent. But basically, it's a similar case with the Integra where the Peugeot 205, as much as I don't want to diss it like this, it's kind of really an eco box with this motor at the end of the day because it suffers the same case, which is over acceleration. Otherwise, it's a pretty good car. It has high acceleration as a trade-off, so it just kind of sucks though because it only hits like 186. I was kind of hoping it 200 at least before it gave out, but sadly, just a bit too much on the throttle at the end of the day. When it comes to these FFs, don't like high horsepower. It's almost like they're just never made in mind to do that. As it goes. Which, you know, I also kind of disagree a little bit to that. I do believe like some cars out there, which we're going to be seeing a huge example of cars you can tune. It just kind of sucks though when it's eco boxes like the 205 GTI, because as much as I don't want to say the 205 GTI is the eco box, it's just with this motor it sure feels like one. Sure feels like one. However, with the high acceleration though, it's just skyrocketing 160 miles per hour around that down path, so that's a good part. Allowing this car to have the ability to beat these ones at the end of the day. In some cases, like similar to that of the FTO did at 217 miles per hour though, this is 186, so technically in terms of competition just be a bit tougher. But I have sports softs on though, so it'll deal less of that, well not less but a bit more of that over acceleration throttle, but it just, you know, is, and plus it's a race motor, so yeah, no problem with fuel consumption at all, I would say, on the most part, especially at only 186. That's going to last for a good while, as the thing goes, if fuel consumption was a matter of thing when it comes to the event though. If there's a big trade-off though, I assume the tires are probably going to burn like no tomorrow, so that's probably going to be the downfall, is that the tires are probably going to bring that amount of laps down at the end of the day. But yeah, look at this crap. Freaking Galador just shoved the 8C on the side. Good God, what a dick. That thing goes. Even as a punt, or even as an AI, they still do dickish things. That thing goes. Let's not get right by this Galador. Cause yeah, it's fast enough to beat these sports supercars at the end of the day, considering Galador still to me is a supercar. Even though if it's the baby Lambo and such. But yeah, overall though, with the 205 with the GTI motor, it's 205 GTI with the Volkswagen motor race car, which that motor is weird because that motor's been going around into other cars too. So it's not just this one, there's other ones that also can have that motor at the end of the day. It's really weird. Really weird thing, I gotta say. Yeah, I got the Dodge Viper SRT10 in front of me. Got Super RZ in front. But yeah, as the saying goes, no matter how much I change it, this event is still an F to me. It's still kind of BS that the SU7's there in the front of the pack. That car should not be in this event. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Grand Turismo. Still an F. Still an F. Cause yeah, let's go ahead and talk more about that. Because yes, during that last time, I just went rant mode. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't get monetization on that one at all. Which I don't get monetization anyway, so it's like, you know, it's just my huge beef with that event alone. Just terrible. Or this event alone, terrible. So, yeah, I stick to my guts about that. If anything, I did realize what this event should be, and I realized hardcore too, because I just realized, wait, there's no hypercar parade for this Nürburgring in general. Because yeah, fun fact, there's 2 World Touring 600s, so that one's much better, I will say. Because that's at the GP course and it feels like an actual freaking challenge. This, on the other hand, is just guys just joyriding at the end of the day. So yeah, what this event should have been, it should have been a hypercar parade at the end of the day. Not this. Because, but I will say the SU7 Ultra would fit a whole lot better in that situation than here. At the end of the day. Because then it's wearing sports soft tires. Just like, you guys had that chance and you guys decided to do World Touring 600 for some stupid ass reason. Cause yeah, there's the Ultra. But yeah, you can only lower that down to 1,026 horsepower. Cause yeah, I'm gonna keep referring to this event as a terrible event because of that sole reason right there. Because the fact that they didn't lower that down to 600 at all definitely doesn't feel like it for the most part. Yeah, we got the Jaguar F-Type R, a car that does mean to 600. A GTR Nismo that's a bit over, but probably about right. Got the NSX that's definitely a bit over. That's 650 there. Got the REM Amiya, which, as much as I don't want to say that's past 650, the way how they tune that one, that feels like past 650. You know, that's not technically the same one from the Tokyo Expressway, so maybe not, perhaps. But yeah, the SMR DB11 probably a little bit over. The WRX about right. 4C about right. Gallagher about right, or off. Viper could be about right. And then you just got your other contenders like the R8, because I'm just scrolling this way too fast. Like all the other ones there, like here and there, when it passes 600, they don't. It's just really irritating and really dumb that the fact that they decided to go with that at the end there. Just stupid, guys. Just like really stupid. Yep. So I'm just giving chase now at this point to the 911 and SU7, which, like I said, I don't think the SU7 is not a bad car because, like I said, I think it could be in the hypercar parade, and I don't know why they didn't do that because considering how well its gear is, it hits about 250 miles per hour. You so happen to get all down at the end of the day. But yeah, as it stands though, it's just kind of terrible. I kind of wonder if I could try, because I had some thoughts like maybe there's a way to fix this ideal I have, or my terrible beef about this car at the end of it. Like, what if like World Tour 800 might be pretty good with the low burn races? Because I noticed there's like the lower burn races like the 3 times and stuff. What if it's better there, perhaps? So I know it'd be great for the championship, because you know it's arcade premise, which means no fuel, no tire burn. So, because yeah, you can lower the weight down to like 3,000 pounds. So that's a good part about the SC7 Ultra in general. So it makes me wonder if like maybe putting it in that situation, maybe that'd be good. But then again, I have to hard test to see if it is or not. For now, this SU7 to me is just kind of a bad grain of sand to me in terms of dots. I'm trying to hopefully make it better, but it's probably not going to be better, Captain, this thing goes. The fact they can't even cross Le Mans is a bad sign, for sure. So that's only a 6 times fuel burn, so 3 times fuel burn, it'll last longer, for sure, probably like 8 minutes or so, hopefully. And that includes gliding strat and stuff, so I can't say if that's going to be good or not, but the last contender I need to chase after now is this SU7 Ultra, and we'll get to skipping here. But yeah, I skip basically once we get to the speed section here. For now, just trying to dance with the SU7, which I gotta say, as a opponent wise though, he's a greedy little bastard when it comes to taking the lanes. I gotta say. So look at this, he's just trying to fight for a lane there. It's like, it's very not noticeable, but he will fight for it. He will block you. Give me a chance, cause yeah, just to say, I turned around and did this event with the Miata too, and yeah, he was just fighting. Cause yeah, I had the Miata with the 186 as well for the it was for a weekly event, matter of fact, this week and such. Yeah, so overall the 205 GTR is not a bad machine. It just has that over-acceleration throttle, which, yeah. It's pretty fast though for getting up to speed though, hitting like 160 on the straight, which is pretty impressive. That tells me it's a high acceleration for the most part, at least. So that's probably at least big trade-off you're getting. Then again, I'm not surprised because that Golf GTI motor was pretty acceleration based too, on top of it. This trade-off is I think it drained more fuel than normal. It's just kind of shocking that overall that motor has been just going into other cars at the end there. Just very weird. Very weird on that. Which yeah, of course I just drove out the grass because yeah, I was oversteering. Because yeah, like I said, the steering's like a 2 to me. Feels like, yeah, 729, not bad for speed. So now on to the next Engineswap you can get from, which this is the Pagani Hyra. which you could stick into the Crown Athlete G 2013. It's really weird, I gotta say, for the most part. Yeah, we are racing at the World Touring Car 700 at Mount Panorama Motor Racing Circuit. But yeah, the Crown Athlete with the higher motor is pretty good for the most part. It has like a, I would say, medium acceleration at this rate. Turning 3, fuel-wise, is pretty good. I would say maybe like, I should have checked harder, but I think it goes at least around 1 month 2, so it's pretty good for the most part. 3 if you lean it pretty well, which in this case I did lean, I want to say 4 or 5 for the first 4 laps of this, which gave me basically 25% for each lap I went around. So, in other words, 4 laps. And then the rest I just burned away for the most part because I want to see how much it burned. I will say at lean 1 it burns a lot. I think it probably burns like 40% for the most part. But the other contenders here, I mean, you just pushovers at the end of it, you just get around them at the end of it. But the Crown Athlete hits the race 350 kilometers, or in other words 217 miles per hour. So overall, not a bad machine for to put the motor into a sedan at the end of it. And also, yeah, no over acceleration either. It's just right. It's just right for this car. So that's what shocked me. Oh yeah, that instant. Which, good God. Hey, let's look at that instant, shall we? So see the Mustang just driving along here, and then he couldn't brake good enough. As the thing goes. Anyway, back to me. Yeah, I gotta say I love those kind of incidents. That feels like real life cases. Sometimes. That is the fun cases I like about Gran Turismo 7. That's like the best part sometimes. You just see a guy just weep into the wall. I throw all the way. Oh crap, I forgot the brake. Yep, let's see it tries to hit like at least, I want to say 180 for the most part on the straightaway here, because it's not going to be crazy. Or maybe a lot less. Let's see. 170, yeah, about almost 180. About right as a dot. But yeah, reminder, I do have like lean of 4 or 5, so it's not really going to push, but it's going to get there at least. For the most part. And it does really fast laps too, at least 2:11. Which, in this way, that's pretty quick. That's pretty quick for the most part. I will say I did have to lower like weight and stuff, so because it does pass over 700 just a tad, so I had to lower it a bit for some things. It still, I would believe, hit 350 as a result of that. I would think from the draft sessions I do at Special Site Pro X at the end of. Yeah, starting with the 219 there, as we try to pass the rest of the traffic here. Because as the saying goes, I go past the rest of the traffic and then we'll go skip straight to the end point. Since I basically said what I had to say at the end of the day, which, yeah, like 4 laps around this, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. At the end of the day, yeah, got Super G70. And Aston Martin Vintage. Got the Lexus RCF up here, which that shocks me big time. I don't remember that used to being up here. That's a weird case. You got the Dodge Viper Grade 4 in third. Cause yeah, there's usually the 3 Stooges, which is the Viper, the Corvette, and the Swiss Sport. And stuff. Alright, so now I just watch these guys, this thing goes. The Swiss Sport. But yeah, suddenly the Corvette just take it slow there. That was very slow. Good God, around that corner. Yeah, and I just, at some point, I just like gunned through the Viper and RCF right there. I don't know if you noticed there. So I just moved up all of a sudden. It's like, holy crap! Like, wait, did I already just pass the? Yeah, there I am, right there. Holy crap! I don't even know how I did that, to be honest. And again, as you did saw, I did saw they were taking that corner very slow for the most part. Good. Sometimes my tongue gets very sticky on words sometimes, but it merges like 2 words together. Just do. As it goes. There's Corvette C7, which goodbye. Usually, which by the way, usually you're blue. This case it's white. It's like the Suzuki Swift. Usually it's red, it's white for this one. So yeah, that's one thing I did notice. Usually, sometimes they change their cars every now and then. I don't know, that indicates that they're technically a different car at the end of it, but that's one thing I did notice big time. Or different contenders too, perhaps. I'm pretty sure it's that guy, usually for the Swift, but I can't say for sure. It is kind of shocking though that there's a Swift as a grade 4, which yeah, this thing's hauling ass. They really tweaked the crap out of this AI at the end of the day when it comes to Swift, because that Swift beforehand, he usually stays around 3rd or 4th. In this case, much better. I gotta say, that is kind of impressive, I'm not gonna lie. Because we do got a battle there on the side, because I smacked into him. Yeah, there we go. Basically pass him at this point, so now I basically just hit the end lap, and then we'll cut straight to the end point there. Yeah, I do want to show at least the lap too. But yeah, the ground athlete with the Pagani motor is a pretty phenomenal motor at the end though. Nothing too crazy and just about right. Yeah, this bumps it to, I would say, an A at the end though. I don't want to push it any further because it is a race engine, but it definitely has some similarities to 1 a little bit. And also, it's kind of surprising because considering most supercars, they usually suck. Or no, I take that back. They might. No, in this case, as much as it is being a 918 horsepower motor and lower down to 536. Because yeah, I will say the high rod motor is a very high horsepower motor on top of it. Which I'm not surprised because the high rod's supposed to be, you know, the guy's big machine at the end of the day, even though they got a newer one that is the Utopia nowadays. Which, who knows when we're getting that. I like to see Pagani make a sports car, but they're always known about hypercar stuff, so, you know, carbon-fied hypercars, even though carbon's not a good thing for, you know, eco-wise stuff. But it's fine for this case, it's just a motor. Which, I said just a motor loosely, because this motor is apparently a derived motor from the Mercedes CLK too, on top of it, apparently. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, 211.143, which is pretty quick. Yep, so now after a good bit, after pitting one time at within the 4th lap, I would say, there, yeah, considering what's showing. I basically decided to see how much is the burn per lap, which yeah, I burned way too much on that second to last lap there. So I had to lower it back to like, I want to say I lowered back to 4. Because then what you see in there, it's like 25% already. It's like, good god, it burned a lot. It burned a lot in the process. Because yeah, that's the only bad part. I think it really needs that lean, because if you don't give it that lean, it's just going to burn that fuel away. Because I would say at best, if you do not lean this at all, you may have at least 2.8 of lap. So it's not that crazy, but it's just right for some situations. So yeah, I would recommend lean as much as you can to basically not only beat these opponents, but to get, you know, get more distance at the end of that. Because I will say, when it comes to cars, you always want to lean. Or endurance races, you always want to kind of lean in some ways. Unless that machine is just going to get there at the end of it. But yeah. With the Viper. Oh god. Viper just went on the smacking spree there. You're good. So I think he was getting a little out of control of the brakes there on us. But yeah. So I'm basically just right behind this Lancer at the end of the day. So that's how phenomenally good the Ground Athlete is at the end of it. It's pretty good. Pretty good machine. Also. So yeah, I guess if you want a, I don't want to say tailgate chaser because it's definitely not that. Because if you want because I will say, if you want a better motor for this car, I would recommend the SC430 instead over this. Because I will say, while acceleration is probably crazier, it's just that fuel. That fuel's a big burn. So I would recommend the SC430 over this instead. That way you get that fuel bonus from the grade 2 motor that's the SC430, because the SC430 is pretty crazy for the most part. And 212.1, so not bad, but yeah. So now on to the next one, which, speaking of, SC430 GT500 2008, which, by the way, I didn't bought this car, so I turned around and bought it. which that engine swap goes to the Elantra N, which this shocks me big time, because how? But anyways, to the World Touring Car 700 at Circuit de Spa Francorchamps. So yeah, the Elantra N with the SC430, you would think that, you know, this would be a bad motor for the over-acceleration drought, and I will say, it kind of technically does. However, the fact that it's able to hit 250 miles per hour is pretty crazy for the most part. That said, though, I still think, yeah, no matter what, grade 4, because FF cars, they just do not have the ability to go grade 3. Unless it's like some kind of special racer machine at this point. Something like the Nissan GTR LM, for example. That's like the closest I could suggest for in terms of FF car, because of the fact at least that it's a hybrid system. This does not, because yeah, I will say the savior that comes from that Nissan GTR LM, and probably the best ideal Nissan tech we had in mind when it came to making that, was the hybrid system. Because yeah, I will say if FF cars ever become a, you know, a higher grade GT, the best suggestion I could say is add a hybrid system to them, so that way you don't have to deal with that overdraw acceleration. And then because the thing is, what has happened is that the front wheels are having to drag those back wheels in the back there, and depending on that weight transfer, which mostly shifts back to the back, when you throttle, your front wheels go crazy at the end of the day. They just whip up a smoke and spin, to say. But with this car, though, I gotta say, not so bad for the most part. But yeah, the Elantra N 2023 with the SC430, a pretty good motor for the most part, and the motor I technically mentioned in the last part too, because the Elantra N TCR is pretty good. This is even crazier, a little bit, I will say, because I will say although then again, it hits 250. The Elantra N TCR has max tune. I got that hit only 217. So technically, this is better than that, a little bit. But yeah, with the N drive though, it kind of helps the overdraw acceleration, because I believe the N drive transmission is what helped us out the most, because that is a very helpful transmission, I gotta say. Besides being an 8-speeder. Yeah, surprisingly, it's just not having that bad of an overdraw acceleration. You'll notice it here and there, but it's not as crazy. Like, it's not whipping up a storm, you know. It's just like you hear a bit, and then just once you shift, it goes back into like, oh yeah, I need to get going. This thing goes. It's like it whips up and then goes. And maybe that's due to the 8-speed transmission. I'm not really sure for the most part. Which I will say, there is one bad thing though for being this high miles per hour, and this is probably the biggest trade-off though, is that because of hitting 250 miles per hour, you could probably guess was burning big time. As you can see there on the tire gauge, that the front tires are already kind of burning in the front. So that's the bad part when it comes to, which I can't say if that's because it's still overdrawn at the end of the day or not. I'm assuming it kind of is for the most part. But yeah, as a 250 mile per hour racer, it's good, but the tires burn like no tomorrow, and if there was rain involved, it'd probably be much worse. Because I will say, when you ever overdraw in a car, it's usually bad when weather comes to strike afterwards. And we're going to be seeing an example of that much later here. Because there's a car that does make me realize about when it comes to that situation. If you ever stop and have overdrawing type of cars. Yeah, we basically got your regular grade 4 contenders, because they're in the Swifts back up here again. This thing goes, you got GR Super this time, so it's a little different. Where's the Veyron grade 4 at? Because it does shock me we don't get to see that. We just get to see the basic ones, because the drivers who did this, because I will say this is based off of like the Gran Turismo World Series. So they have these drivers drive these cars at the end of the day, and the problem is, it seems like they drove that car, well, they serve under that brand for one thing, so they're going to drive that car no matter what. It just kind of sucks though, you just don't get to see random opponents at the end of the day, which I would much prefer random opponents than seeing the same opponents over and over again. I do believe that this whole Gran Turismo World thing stupid thing to add together. Like, why would I want to see the person? I want to see the person in person, not person in digital. Because they ain't the same, as the thing goes. Or, better yet, you could do like Gran Turismo 6 you guys did, which was reference old drivers back then and such, or drivers that drove a car like this. You know? I mean, you can reference the Gran Turismo World Series contenders, but it's just really odd. Why is it for every event, though? Besides, you know, it's simple, and we don't have to do a whole lot of work, even though it's stupid. At the end of it. Yeah, basically this guy give chase to 2 contenders here, which is GR Supra, and then the Suzuki Swift, and then we'll be on our way. As I basically do this, and then, you know, complete the rest of the lap, too. But I feel like I should have just cut straight to it, but oh well, is what it is. But yeah, the biggest problem, as you see there, he's on racing mediums too, and I'm burning more than he is. So yeah, that might be a bit of a concern when it comes to the tires of the Elantra M with the SC430 motor. But otherwise, yeah, 250 mile per hour monster, so this is what you get at the end of it. Very phenomenal little machine. As a haul's ass. Like I said, in like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so that's pretty good for the most part. That's not crazy, but it's just about right, I would say, in most cases. Yeah, there's a very phenomenal machine. It's just the only bad part is the tires, so you might have to, you know, fluctuate with the weight, or fluctuate with the negative camber. I could suggest for that. So yeah, I didn't really mess with that. If anything I mess with is the LSD acceleration, because when it comes to FF cars and when they get into swap like this, I would recommend the complete opposite when it comes to that acceleration of the limit slip drive. From 10 to like 50 or 60, it might want all of it, because that way it prevents the car from overdrawing so much. I will note, I think I tried it with this one. I don't think it really changed it very much. It still kind of just did it. But to say though, that might help for the tire wear perhaps, because I didn't really check that hard about it. But yeah, the negative camber, and then doing weight adjustment to see if you can get more in the back, let's say, so that way it won't burn less perhaps. I could be wrong, because I will say I'm being very experimental about that saying. But it could be wrong on that saying. But yeah, 229.196, not bad, not bad. Alright, so now to the skip here. Yeah, afterwards, basically, yeah, 228.3 at some point. 228.1, okay, we're just smacking laps after laps. God, so yeah, after a good bit, I just see the K-Man hitting third now. The Suzuki Swift still in second, not surprised. Like I said, they upped that AI big time. And that's the funny part of your machine. Seen throughout all this. All the grade 4 cases, the Suzuki Swift is usually the most crazy one. I will say the last case is very funny though. I don't know what happened to him on that one. I will say, but basically just passing the Italia, the Ferrari Italia at that point. A low car that needs to get changed out. Because if I have any situation or any suggestion that Italia should be switched out, is probably the 488 Ferrari that they skipped on, because yeah, there's a car that sits between the Italia and the 296. So that would make a 296 grade 4 if there is one. I'm assuming there's not. Considering how high of a horsepower that car is already. So if anything, probably the Ferrari 488 or that Ferrari opt out of grade 4, because heck, I don't even know if that Italia exists or not. Then again, but yeah, that's the only thing I kind of suggest though at the end of it. Otherwise, it's not a bad machine. It's just a really outdated grade 4. Because yeah, we got a bunch of outdated grade 4. Because that's the weird part when the contenders drive these cars. Some of them are very outdated, because they're in the Italia one. Like, I feel bad for that Italia one. I mean, maybe it's still good. I don't know. I don't know the whole meta either. Last time I recall, I saw the Lancer Evo still being the most phenomenal one, and I wonder why. Maybe it's because it has that all-wheel drive. Or maybe the fact that you do a lot of laps too in the process. Because distance matters big time. As the thing goes. Pace is good, but distance is the real matter when it comes to endurance racing. I will say. Because it's not the matter of being the quickest, it's the matter of just getting there at the end of it. I just use some sirens, be good. Anyways, 229.54 which that's pretty okay-ish, not really crazy for the last one. But now on to the last engine swap they can get from is the XJR9, Jaguar XJR9. Which the car that gets up that engine swap is the Tuscan Speed 6, surprisingly. Kind of shocks me big time, but it does need a race car motor too, so then again. So to the World Touring Car 700 at Le Mans. Yeah, I decided to just test it on the big shot, you know. Thing goes. But yeah, overall though, 250 miles per hour, acceleration 4, turning 3, I would say. Because yeah, I will say, as much as I want this to be a grade 3 car, it just cannot do it. It's too much on the car at the end of the day. But yeah, hitting 250 miles per hour though, it's pretty insane for the most part. I think I did have to do some weight and some wing adjustment, I will say, so something to say in advance if you're stopping to try and tune this at the end of it. Otherwise, I gave it basically the Speed 6 race modification, but I wanted to keep the special blue-purple color too, because yeah, this looks so good, I gotta say. I actually kind of outdid myself on this one. I think I should probably add more decal a little bit, maybe on the front there, front of the hood a little bit. But otherwise, this is a very phenomenal machine, and we're just going to be passing these guys like no tomorrow. No one's business, as thing goes. Because yeah, with the XJR9 motor, you basically do 4 laps straight up, as it hauls ass around 250 miles per hour, basically. In this case, just 200 miles per hour. Because yeah, like I said, I will say 250 is loosely. You have to draft in order to get that. Oh, I take that back. You have to draft and be on the downhill to get that. Yeah, I will say when it comes to my gear adjustments, I try to get the most out of it, because I don't want to hit the red wine, you know, as the thing goes. I want to give some leeway to it, which could be good or bad. It could be bad because that's technically less acceleration I could be offering, which does make me wonder if I should try like straight up a different method when it comes to the tryouts in the future, because I was thinking about like maybe a mile per hour swing, like basically they all have to hit 120, but the max gear is 130 though. That 130 is basically an indication that they're going to be speed or they're just going to be acceleration. That's the thing goes. Which could be advantage for speed types or higher fuel ones, so that could be good or bad on that situation. But yeah, just me just storming by at the end of the day. This is definitely going to beat this competition with the 1 lap given. Which is good anyways, considering how long Le Mans is, which thank God it's just the 1 lap. Because just this alone is like 4 minutes. Still. You know, I try to hit that 3-minute mark, it's just very hard to. I might have to get better setup when it comes to that. I mean, I only just, you know, put it together, so, you know. But for it doing like 4 minutes and 5, that's still pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie, because that's even more crazy than the Jaguar, God, what's that one? The race car one, the old race car, the 1966 one. One back in. I don't think it's the Model E, I think it's like Model D or something like that. Or I don't think it's called that. It's like D-type. It's like D-type. Yeah, D-type. 1966 D-type. That thing is also crazy too. It does 4 laps, but I think it's slower. I think it does like 4 minutes and 20, but that was way back when I did the 650 PP tryouts, which I think I have that record too. Way back too. So yeah, so now we just watch the Tuscan Speed just march to victory at this point. March to victory. Stupid tongue of mine. I swear. The victory. In other words. I don't even know what the heck victory means. I hope that's not a bad word. Yep, so basically just one lap of this at the end of the day as I just say bye-bye to these guys. They were the king stuff. Now there is, however, one huge problem when it comes to TVR Tuscan, and this is basically what I alluded on to from the Hyundai Lancer there, which is tires. Tires is a big problem when it comes to the higher horsepower cars here. Considering, I mean, look at that. That's just, by the way, that's just the race car tires. Wait till we get to the rain here. Because, yeah, I do want to throw a quick shot of both before the rain and after. Because, yeah, I decided to rain afterwards, of course. But, yeah, as you can see, though, those rear tires were just giving out really bad. So, I recommend maybe a lot less on the negative camber, perhaps, and maybe a bit of weight switcheroo, as the saying goes. You gotta figure out some way to lower that tire burn at the end of it. If there's anything else I will mention, it does kind of oversteer, or because of the overthrottle, it does whip out a bit more than it should, so be gentle on the throttle too. On the saying goes. But yeah, just look at this. I was just on M tires and it decided to rain pretty strong at one point, so I slapped those on. So yeah, we're on the lap where the rain just suddenly dies down. When rain dies down less than half of that water meter, as you can see on the bottom left there, where the water's like pretty high for these guys' case, which I'm kind of shocked for that. Kind of surprised it's pretty high over there. But where I'm at, though, the water levels dip down to like 1. Once it passes that 1, the M tires start burning. And they start burning quicker and quicker. I don't know what they did ever since like the last update, but these tires burn like no tomorrow. I don't know if that's really true to the namesake of what they are. Because I figure intermediate tires, they don't burn that much, but you get you get the best of both worlds, which is able to drive through the rain. The trade-off is, M tires are technically, in terms of tire performance, I believe hitting around sports medium tires, if I recall, while wet tires are sports hard tires equivalents. It's just a trade-off, though, as you can see, their durability is just not a thing when it comes to these tires anymore, throughout the updates they did. Which I don't know if that's good or bad. I just know M tires used to have been a lot more buff than that, way back then. When I say way back then, I think like 10 updates ago. So, but yeah, as you can see though, we just like got to like the first bit of the chicane here on a big straightaway. You just look at that bottom left tire just burn away like no tomorrow. Good God. So yeah, you basically get like one lap of the M tires with this high power machine at the end of the day. So that's the huge trade-off you have to deal with when it comes to getting a 250 mile per hour monster on the track at the end of the day. Yeah, that basically kind of just wraps that at the end of the day as I basically stroll to the end. As the end goes. As they're all switching their tires and stuff. Except for the Viper. I think the Viper's still going. Yeah, he's still going. He wants that second place, damn it. He'll take any means. And surprisingly, the SX in third place. It's weird. Oh yeah, but you probably did saw as I scrolled through the ponds there that the Suzuki switched just in the far back. I have no idea what happened. I'm going to guess he was wearing racing hard tires and the rain got too strong where he didn't switch out, but the other ones did. And that cost him big time, as it goes. Unless he so happens to get out here, but I think he switched his tires in between though, so probably not. So Stafford Swift, as it goes. Now, so I see the Hurricane at 8th. I'm shocked about that. Usually the Hurricane just races up there. He usually can be your threat. He can be your threat sometimes. Because of his high efficiency. Because he's also a 4 laps one, just to say. Yeah, the Tuscan Speed 6 with the XJR9 is a great motor, but I would recommend grade 4 down, not grade 3, because as much as I want to have it hit that 275, the tires burn like no tomorrow, and it even shows even on the 250 mile per hour side. It's just overthrown like no tomorrow. So if I also recommend, maybe go for the 217 mile per hour setup instead of 250. But if you want that extra horsepower, that's fine too. It just like, you know, you got the negative camber it, or you know, lower the weight, or not lower the weight, but because this is weight lowered all the way, by the way. It's just you have to put maybe some weight in the front, perhaps, to get the front to burn a bit more than the back. This thing goes. So yep, that basically wraps up for this episode, I must say, because yeah, just 5 Engineswaps, there's not much, don't forget it. So until then, people, I'll see you guys all next time. I hope you enjoyed what you watched here, and until then, ciao. Take care, y'all.